everybody, and welcome to another episode of Every Day's a Train Wreck with your conductress, Marley Major. And I have another amazing guest today. So exciting, because she is coming to us from across the pond, and I just learned that she has never done a podcast before, so I really feel like I've just discovered like the next Beatle or something kind of exciting. This is her debut, so we can say it all happened here. So let me give you a little bit of the backstory. As you guys know, I am obsessed with lifestyle stuff, event planning, of course, because that's my background. And then I'm also obsessed with the royals, and most importantly, like how people continue to jump on this Meghan Markle bandwagon. Okay, it's just crazy to me. So I was reading, because I think all Americans need to be paying attention to the British press, because our press is nothing compared to the British press. They will dig and jump and burrow under palace walls and whatever. It's amazing to get the story. And that's what we need. So there's not a day that goes by that I'm not checking out the Daily Mail. And I'm not even sure if that's what you call it, but our guest, Ellen Manning, is going to tell me if I'm correct. But I was, in fact, fascinated by this whole Netflix show with Love, Meghan, and the fact that everybody is just hammering it. And so I was reading an article in the Daily Mail about this woman wrote, and I was totally fascinated because she wasn't writing and just saying like, oh, Meghan's Loro Piana sweater is too expensive to cook in or whatever. I guess everybody's opinion is valid. But she was focused on, let's try the recipes and let's see, and let's give an honest opinion. It wasn't like it was some infomercial like, oh, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen, but I really loved the take. So I felt like, okay, I'm just going to reach out to her and see. And I was sitting at the beach that day, kind of a little bit bored. Like, I didn't even want to be at the beach in March, but whatever. I won't when I be up. And then I'm like, oh my God, she messaged back. Yes, because I know Americans a little more effusive than the Brits, but we'll get into that in a little bit. So please help me welcome Ellen Manning, who will now tell you what she really does, what the article was, so you guys can check it out, and how we're going to have her on next, because I understand she used to cover the royals. Okay, so Ellen, jump. Finally, I've stopped.
Right. Well, thanks for having me. Yeah, I'm a freelance journalist, basically. I've been, like you mentioned, I've been a reporter for years. I used to cover a lot of news and the royals a little bit, but now I tend to write mainly about kind of more lifestyle stuff, your kind of thing, a lot of like food, travel, but I do a few articles for the Mail, as we call it here. And they're often like, they'll be like about, things that are really trending. So it might be like, look at this trending recipe. Let's try it, see if it actually works. So they asked me if I would cook, like you said, 5 of the recipes from Meghan's new series.
They just reach out to you like, by the way, this whole interview is going to be me interrupting you with my bad ADHD going, wait a second. But like, had you worked with them before? Did they just find this?
Yeah, okay, so I've done stuff. I'm their like kind of comedy, like, here's our girl trying this stuff. So, because I'm game for anything. I'm a bit like you. I'll give it a go and say what I think. And
well, there you go. You might see me in your kitchen for the next one. Okay. Okay.
But the irony is I'm not an amazing cook either. I'm not a chef. I'm a writer.
But hey, listen, you just hit on something super important, because the whole premise, at least part of my take, is that she's saying, hey, listen, it's aspirational. Like, look at the beautiful garden, but it's not supposed to be like you need to be Roy Choi, right? To cook this stuff. It's supposed to be. And so I love that word, because, there are places in the article where you put like, okay, I kind of wanted to know what was the specific amount, or I wish you would just say this or that. But I mean, I think probably you were a big part of her target audience. So I think that's great that you're not like, oh, I'm so amazing.
Yeah, well, I think there's a bit in it that she kind of goes on about how it's all about not being perfect. That's actually one of the things people have gone at her for, because they're like, but you kind of are perfect. But I quite liked it that she was like, it doesn't matter when you cook. You shouldn't have to worry about it not being perfect if it's for like your friends and family, which for me is a cool thing.
I think it's great. So let's kind of dig in, because here's where I'm coming from. I understand when she and Prince Harry got married. I totally get all the hype and all the scandal and whatever, and she's biracial or on and on. Okay, I get all that. Then they leave. Okay, makes sense. But that was now a while ago, right? And Americans, I don't know what it's like there still, but at least from my perspective, I can't tell you the number of girlfriends that will somehow, Meghan Markle will come up and it's like they have an opinion on it. I'm like, how is this the only person on the planet I'm kind of thinking of that's like not from here, that everybody sort of is still chatting about, and of course, consider the context. But everything in these comments, it's just like such the haters. Like, oh, she's wearing this sweater. Oh, so much for relatable. She's wearing her Cartier tank watch. And I understand if people don't like the recipes. I understand if people don't like that she did ladybugs for tea sandwiches. I mean, I kind of understand like if something didn't taste good, etc. But I got to tell you, I really don't understand just the general, oh my God, none of those are her recipes. None of those are her. Well, I mean, I don't think she's running out saying that she's got a patent on them or anything. So what's the deal?
I mean, there's loads of celebrities that do cooking shows, right? They don't invent the recipes. They just like cook them. They have a team who help them come up with the ideas. So I think Meghan, is someone who inspires quite a strong emotional reaction in people on both sides. And it's interesting because you say my article, you thought it was really balanced and I didn't come out bashing her, which I was, quite conscious of. I've literally had messages from people being like, how dare you not love her recipes? Like somebody told me, I think there's one line in the article, a little bit of me wanted these recipes to fail. Because it would be easy, right? Yeah. It would be easy to bash her if the recipes didn't work, but they do. I literally had a message from someone saying, the fact you wanted them to fail means you are jealous, you are petty, and you need help. Okay. And I was quite taken aback. Okay. So I think there's a strong reaction, on both sides. People either love her or they hate her. And I don't know what it is about her that incites that kind of reaction.
Well, and I'm not going to say she's off just minding her own business. To a certain extent, she's not, right? But no more so than really that many other people. I can only imagine like the hate comments I'm going to get about this. But if you really dissect it, right? They're off the payroll from the palace, I think. They've got to make money. They have a big house and all that stuff. I can see a little bit of the cringe effect when she said to Mindy Kaling, like, I'm Sussex now. Okay, that part, I understand a little bit where we wade into that. But she's making a living and I do believe she's fairly talented at what she's doing. I'm not saying she invented them, but here's the other thing too, coming from an event planner perspective. And this is the piece that I really wanted to highlight is like, this has been my career. Okay. My whole career has been event planning and trends. And I do them on TV and I write about them. And everybody is saying there's nothing original about this. There's nothing clever about this. All this has been done before, blah, blah, blah. So I've got a couple questions. One, why do all the parties, for the most part, that I go to look exactly the frickin' same? Yeah. I don't know about you, but I haven't been to the party with the tea sandwiches with the little ladybug, unless I did it. Maybe I have a friend who cooked the one pot of pasta in college because they didn't know any better. But to the best of my knowledge, I haven't been to any of my friends' dinner parties. I have some pretty bougie friends. Nobody I know has been freaking out there with the one pot thing and going, oh yeah, the water will be a little bit more carby or whatever. I got to tell you, I'm a gardener. Like I plant edible flowers and herbs and all this stuff. Like this is my total hobby, etc. Is it brand new in the whole wide world that she put dried flower things on stuff? No. Was it a very nice reminder how easy that is to do? Yes, because guess what your sweet self did? I was like, fricker, I'm going to go out there and use my dehydrator and put my nasturtiums and my whatever in there. Put them in a jar, powder them up, put them in a jar and just sprinkle them. Because I thought if that's the only thing I ever got from that show was that insert dried, colored, sprinkled flowers everywhere and your whole world changes. But I don't know. Ellen, I mean, are you at these dinner parties where you've got the fabulous crudité things? I mean, my friends are freaking Costco. They're barely taking the lid off.
Well, I just think, in cooking especially, that no one's like rewriting the Bible when it comes to cookery. A lot of cooking shows take, I think, we get heard of Nigella Lawson, right? Yeah, she's the darling of British cooking. I think, one year in one of her shows, she was like showing everyone how to do a piece of toast or something. And everyone was like, what? Because this stuff sells. We love watching it and we love talking about it. And it gives us ideas to maybe do something else, or it just reminds us of stuff we love.
I was just totally taken aback. Like, even with, let me try to think of a couple things. Like, one of the things is people are like, you would never, in the Roy Choi episode, they were like, you would never have the chicken, just sitting in the fridge like that, like uncovered or something. And I was like, oh my God, hello. This was not supposed to be like a real fridge. You could tell the herbs were organized, and it wasn't like, you saw the half open jam. It's for freaking TV, for God's sakes, right? So they got a nice shot when they open the thing. It's like taking the photo for McDonald's burgers or whatever. It's done by a set decorator with the mayonnaise as glue and everything else. Yeah. There's nothing real about it. So those are the parts of the things that I just don't get. But I want to just start with the rainbow fruit thing for the brunch for the kids. And I thought that was kind of genius. Has it been done before? Yes. Is it on Pinterest? Yes. But was it a kind of a nice reminder as I was putzing around doing other things in the house, watching that, oh yeah, you know what, whether I make a rainbow or a flag for 4th of July or whatever holiday we've got coming up, good, like nice, just refresher. The dried flowers, nice refresher. Kind of a good refresher that you could make the one pot pasta when I'm so busy ordering Uber Eats or whatever, DoorDash delivery. Yeah. That kind of thing. So, and then I go back to the crudité platters. I can't even tell you how many times it's literally like, let's peel the plastic topping, and people don't even bother to replate it. And I love the fact that she just freaking took the mandolin and I don't know, whatever, turnips or something. She was just, and I was like, oh yeah, good note. I have a mandolin. Have I used it in the last 25 years? No. Can I start? Yeah. So going back to the whole component of you cooking the recipes and stuff, did you think it was too time consuming? Like, was it too, because I thought you got a really good bang for the buck for how it looked versus the time that went in, but you're the one that was cooking them, not me.
Yeah. I mean, baking a cake is not like a quick task, is it?
Right.
But, you know, it came out actually quite an impressive cake to the point that some of my friends were like, whoa, you made that.
I thought when you were like, I didn't have the proper jam or whatever, I was like, sweet Jesus. Like, even if you just, quite frankly, then this is what I was thinking. My God, even if you just riffed off of Meghan's idea and said, listen, I'm going to go to the market and get an angel food cake, right? Or whatever, and slice it so that it's in 3 and layer let's say you just made your own frosting and you did the jam bit and you bought the store-bought cake.
Exactly.
Like, I mean, that's heads up, like head and shoulders. You will walk out with that cake and they'd be like, freaking Ellen.
Yeah. And they were pretty good. And like I say, they all worked, nothing went wrong. I have tested recipes before and been like, yeah, all right. So I need to have been to culinary school to do this because this has got techniques I don't know how to do, or it's just not as easy as it sounds on paper. But I can't say that about these. They are doable for even me. So,
and that was the thing, is that I don't know if we were just talking about that before you got on air, or if you said it on this, but that, it's not like you're the master chef. And I think that's the point. I mean, it's designed for anybody to be able to do it. I didn't really think that any of the equipment she had was particularly complicated or out of reach. I mean, the Le Creuset heavy pot she used those are expensive, right? But it wasn't like, if you don't use this pot, you're not going to be able to make the pasta.
Well, exactly. I don't have those pots. I don't have a kitchen like her kitchen.
Right.
But I still create. I mean, maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that's a good point of the piece. I could still create things that looked pretty much like what she did. I don't live that life. I don't have a mansion. So maybe that's quite nice, because we can then play, can't we? We can be like, and that's the point of this stuff. It is aspirational. And I think some people, obviously that incites a bit of jealousy sometimes.
Yeah.
But we all also like to, you don't invite your bougie friends around for dinner and not want to feel a bit Meghan Markle in that moment. You want to float into the kitchen with your salt-baked fish and go, hey guys, what do you want?
Has anybody seen Breakfast at Tiffany's? I mean, at the end of the day, it was about a freaking hooker, right? But she looked like, hello, suave bull. I mean, we dressed it up, and that's the part, looking at her knives and stuff like that, I'm like, I'm not surprised that because the knife alone is $1 gazillion, right? I know the sweater is Loro Piana. Like, I know how much Loro Piana. I know which Loro Piana she goes to in Montecito, blah, 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 blah. All that stuff. Those things are correct. The tank bracelet, the this and that and the thing. But the point is you don't have to use the $1 million knife she's using. Just like, to your point, you just use your freaking whatever one, wherever you guys get them in Britain. That's the equivalent of the everyday store, or, you know, you use your Cutco knife and you can still do it no problem and have it look amazing. But I think if we took one thing away, which was just, quite frankly, just the presentation, right? It was just a really good reminder to me. You can just dress stuff up. So let's keep talking about this whole aspirational piece, because the haters, just the whole thing feels like it is directed towards her instead of just how are the recipes and do you get ideas from it? And that's, I guess, the piece that I feel like people who have no interest maybe in lifestyle or food are watching it because they don't like her and they're just like, oh, those ideas are dumb. But as I say, you're in this business. I mean, kind of in a different way than I am. But it's like I spend my whole life on Pinterest and tracking trends and reporting on trends and all these things. And at the very least, I was like, oh, that's a good idea. Or I forgot about that.
This is what
idea.
she did before, right?
And
she's always done a lot of lifestyle stuff. She did that back far before all the royal stuff.
Completely.
This isn't her like
and
invading a territory that she wasn't already in.
That's a great point, because I go to, and maybe before she wasn't getting all the negative comments because she didn't, you know, she hadn't married the prince, that type of thing. But this is her space. I totally forgot about that. This is her space. Whether you like the fact, you know, they call it her, you know, her beige world or whatever, because everything's beige and cream or cream and white and that kind of stuff. Then you don't have to tune in, just like you don't have to tune in to Martha Stewart, or you don't have to follow, we were talking about before, Nigella Lawson. But I don't understand how it can just be like everything is universally bad, unless I'm just missing something that she's not getting evaluated like apples to apples.
Yeah, I think
like
that's the thing. Yeah,
ideas.
I think that's the thing, is it? I mean, for me, I was a bit like, I think I would rather see her do this and go back to the space that she was in before, in a way. I'm not saying she's, well, like
which
no,
space? The royal space or the TIG space?
Then I think, well,
okay.
I don't mean like, no, get back in your box. I don't mean it like that. But I think, you know, you can be offended and angry if she's sitting there commenting on the royal family or spilling the beans about all of that. I can see where the anger comes from.
Totally get it.
Because, and especially, you know, a lot of Brits are really protective of the royal family, which is where a lot of the anger But I'm kind of like, you can't, she's not doing that. She's come away from that. She's not making any political comment, particularly, I don't think, in that series. She's not, you know, doing the,
not that I've seen any.
I hate the royals thing. She's literally baking cakes and putting flowers on food. So I'm kind of like, guys, there's a lot of stuff going on in the world to actually genuinely get offended about and upset about. I don't think this is one of them.
Right. And based on looking at the comments, I mean, you would think she's just put a press release out about Hamas. No, I'm not even exaggerating. I mean, it's just, how dare she? Like, everything is so, okay, so you made the recipes, and of course, you know, you're doing it because you're writing the article, but were there any keepers that you're like, you know what, I would actually make that again?
Salt-baked fish thing. So you literally wrap, I've never done that before, because in my head, that's really chefy, right? Like, who salt bakes a fish? Actually, it turns out it's really easy. You just chuck a load of salt and water over a fish and it cooks it really nicely. So when we're talking about aspiration and that, you know, moment of, do you know what, actually, I would quite like to come out and be like, hi guys, I salt baked a fish. How cool is that? Like, I would do that again.
I mean, I totally forgot that was in there. And quite frankly, if you came out to dinner with me and said, oh, I have salt baked, I'm like, freaking good for you. I mean, because even saying it now, it sounds really good. Like, it sounds super elevated. And if that's the lane she's in, which is saying, hey, listen, she's in all these fancy party worlds and gets to see everything and do everything. And she's literally boiling it down to be like, you could do this, then this. And even if it was the frozen fish, because that's, you know, more in your budget, or it was a different type of fish that wasn't the, you know, organic, like all those things that she's getting very criticized for, there's still a place to take, like, hey, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
and adapt it to your circumstances.
I understand as much as anybody that, times are hard for a lot of people. A lot of people don't have a lot of money. Totally. A lot of people don't have a lot of time. So when you watch someone floating around their kitchen talking about beekeeping, home baking their dog biscuits, right? Of course, a lot of us are like,
yes,
come on now. But she is not the only person or 100%. First person who is in a position of like privilege to be doing a show like that. I think it's, that's the nature of a lot of these shows. It's no different to some of the shows we see where people are staying in the best hotels in the world that we could never possibly dream of affording. We don't hate on them to the same level.
Right. And you mentioned something about the beekeeping, which I totally get. And this is what's so crazy about the beekeeping thing. So I was watching this. My cousin was over and so I was like, listen, I want to check this out. And she's like, okay. So we're checking. This is before I contacted you. And so we're watching it. And my cousin is kind of laughing out loud. Granted, she's a patent attorney, very different type of brain than I am. And she's like, oh my God, Marley, I can't believe you're watching this. And I'm like, I'm not watching this for A, intellectual stimulation. B, we've been working on patents all day and I need a little break. I'm not turning to this like it's War and Peace. It's fun. It's creative. And then when the beekeeping thing came up and the comment was something along the lines of maybe about the soy candles or you could get the wax from your local beekeeper, whatever. And I think my cousin burst out laughing, right? But the point is, she said, oh, by the way, have you ever had bees? Because I'm in Southern California. And ironically, I have had bees at my old house. I'm fascinated by them. So as Megan is going around and how you've got to whisper, and I was like, oh my God, totally. And when the smoke, it's intimidating. It shouldn't be. And then when my cousin made that comment, she's like, oh, have you ever had bees? And I said, not only that, now, mind you, I'm sitting there like going, oh, when she made the beekeeping comment about your local beekeeper and getting the wax. And I said to my cousin, I hate to say this right now, but I'm 95% sure that guy was my beekeeper when I had him. Like, so I have the same beekeeper who gets on TV, like who's watching somebody is like, oh, that's my same beekeeper, right? And yet I was like really ready to like make a comment and judge. So I fully understand.
Yeah, but I mean, even in that scene, I think I was quite taken aback because she actually said to the guy, oh, obviously we don't get out here and do this as much as you do. Like, I thought there was a glimmer of honesty in there, which is like, of course, I'm not out here tending my beehives every day.
When I had bees, I wasn't out there tending them because I thought, well, I keep hearing about this bee problem in the world. Why don't I get me some hives and how hard can it be? And we'll just repopulate. Well, I'm telling you, whether I was doing it or I had a professional doing it or not, it's not that easy. So, and it was purely like altruistic for me, but I don't see why just the idea that just go to the beekeeper. I think the component is you could go to your local farmer's market, right? And then you could say to the guy, hey, what do you do with your wax? Or do you ever have any left over? Everybody has waste. If you're a seamstress, you have selvage for fabric. I mean, everybody has something. Now the guy might sell it. You might say, listen, I don't, but Joe Blow down there sells it. And the idea is it just kind of perks you up to think, oh, that's right, I forgot. That's actually wax that you could actually do something with. And that's kind of cool.
I think it was interesting when you said, you don't watch it for intellectual stimulation. Like it, to me, it's really clear from the way the program is styled, from the title screen, this is like light entertainment. I think you've got to remember that. She's not trying to make she's trying to make a buck, right? Which is what you said earlier on. When she's trying to make a buck, she's doing it in a way that she knows how. And literally, you don't have to watch it if you don't want to. And I confess, I haven't watched every episode because I find it a bit cringe. And, I like the food part. Do I like the wax part? Maybe not. Do I want to make homemade Epsom bath salts for my friends? No, I don't love them that much that I'm going to do that. But so it's like social media. You don't have to engage with this stuff if you don't want to.
It's the equivalent of keep scrolling. Or by the way, remember, this is on Netflix. So I would imagine most of us are not watching it live. It's called.
Yeah. And interestingly, the fact they've gone for a second season surely means a lot of people watched it, right? They don't commission extra series of things if they bomb. So people are loving it. Somewhat.
And on that note, when it was up for a second season, what was very interesting to me was then people were like, oh, perhaps Netflix hadn't seen all the comments yet and whatever, and they had just upped it. No. And I was like, people, Netflix is not just jumping, as you said, to renew something for another season when they haven't done their homework. Whether it's they've put focus groups on it, they had probably watching the numbers
right?
for the first one.
Watching it.
Right. They're saying it's going to go down 75%. And even if it does, we're still good. We're still making money, that kind of thing. But I still thought it was the photography and the videography. I still thought it was beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, I really thought it was so pretty and just relaxing and that, but that's my favorite. I was like, oh my gosh, she even gets a second season and they're bashing it. Like now Netflix doesn't know what they're doing. I mean, oh my goodness gracious. But I don't think she's going anywhere. And I just keep coming back to this is her space. And at the very end of the day, she might be married to Prince Harry, but she is still a mom who's surrounded by other moms who are also busy. Now, granted, I get it. They might be busy going to yoga and, driving carpool and stuff like that when other people have a job and are also doing that and they're not drying flowers. I get it. But again, the same thing. You can fast forward or you can have it on in the background. And when you're like, oh, that salted fish didn't look so hard. Okay. Or I might not feel like cooking right now, but I kind of feel like a good DIY project, or I'm kind of thinking of, I don't know, spa trend ideas that I'm going to have to do. And I go, that's a good thing about the Epsom salts, because yours truly here spends about, I feel like a month every week, which doesn't even make sense.
I thought you were going to say making them. I don't know if we can be friends.
I make bathing in them. But I was thinking, well, there you go. And then I mentioned I was watching the show with my cousin who had come out here to work for the week. And so she was staying with me. I was like, we were watching the episode about having the guest room set up and I was like, and they were going, oh, and she took the Trader Joe's pretzels and rebagged them. I was like, okay, then you people must not ever have tasted the Trader Joe's pretzels. They are phenomenal. Okay, by the way. And my poor hungry cousin, half the time when I'm working on one side of the house and she's working on the other side of the house, I'm very sure would have been very happy to have Trader Joe's pretzels or really anything else, because I'm off being distracted, right? Then what was ironic to me was they're complaining that she's cooking and spending all this time. But then when she was doing something simple, like just loading the pretzels and tying a ribbon around it and calling it a day.
Yeah.
That
was funny actually, because there's a bit in it, or a bit, I think, on the recipes that says with the salt baked fish that she doesn't, I don't know if it's true, but it said she doesn't get everything ready before her friends come because she's chilled out. So her friends arrive and they all get involved and they do. And I was like, yeah. No one does that. But I was speaking to my husband and I was like, oh my God, as if you'd invite people over and then you wouldn't have dinner prepared. And he was like, actually though, Ellen, you do that all the time because you're always late and then you sell it as some kind of let's all get involved. And I was like, do I? And he was like, yeah, you do that all the time. So it's quite interesting.
Because you are like all the rest of us, right? Where we might say, oh, I would never do that. But at the end of the day, we do because
which is
life enters in.
Oversimple or overcomplicated. We want to pick at her, but she can't win, can she? Really.
And that's my point. And that's why I'm like, can we just discuss the recipes and kind of where all this is coming from? And you're right. I think she's probably the most type A controlled individual on the planet as far as her own self. And there's nothing wrong with that. Lord knows I have to be that way for sure in my work life. But that doesn't mean that there aren't times when she's not going to have maybe not people that she's not as close to, but I could see it where you have 4 girlfriends around and you're making brunch or you're making pizza or whatever it is you're doing and drinking champagne. And it's not that far out there. Right? Or when you have the equivalent of the potluck or something. But I just cannot get over how much time and the hate. And I just want to do a poll. I want Netflix to do a poll of all these people. If we could figure out if the people that have commented have actually watched the
that's
show.
Interesting, because I did think it was interesting as well that this is the first kind of thing she's done big time without Harry. And I did wonder, is this a kind of moving back into that space and going back to hey, let's try and put all that behind us. This is me as me. But then I guess that's why the Sussex thing made everyone a little bit angry, didn't it? Because they were like, well, hey, if this is you just doing this, then we don't have to. But then, I don't know, It's her kid's name, isn't it? So
yeah, I love like one of the royal biographers or something. That all gets very confusing.
There's a lot of them, aren't there?
Was then on, right? I mean, I'm like, oh my God, like another royal historian, biographer, footman for Queen Victoria or whatever. And it's like, and she's not even right. Her last name is Mountbatten or something like that. And I was like, this is amazing. This is a cooking show about how to make rainbow styled fruit. And we have head of the bougie etiquette committee saying that she doesn't even, I'm quite sure she must know what her last name is.
It's a funny one. We're funny for that, the Brits.
Anyway.
Just general royal stuff. It's a whole different, it's a crazy world, you know, it's completely different to anything, which I guess is why people are obsessed with it. And it's why Brits are so protective of it, because it's pretty unique, right? Like the idea of the royal family, I think. Is that right? Most part Americans?
Absolutely. Well, I mean, I'll speak for myself and a lot of people I know is that will watch the royal wedding and watch this and watch that and are totally fascinated by it. But the other thing that I find absolutely hilarious, which I've commented on since the dawn of time, when I probably saw my first Jaguar commercial and the guy had a British accent and he was like, Jaguar. And I am amazed. I say this all the time. Americans need evidently to hear our own products sold to us with a British accent. Like our series, our driving things have the British accent. And I am just like, we are just enamored, you know, of course, not every, but it's plenty of people are still really enamored with it. And now, do you think they're in Britain that they are as fired up about this as we are here? Like, or do you think that, you know, all these comments for the Netflix show are like Americans?
No, I think there's a similar, I think
kind of, have you heard the
people love, like I said earlier, I think, you know, there's the strength of feeling. People either love her or hate her. And that's also the internet as well, right? Like it's become so much easier to say what you think, you know, like read the comments. Like you just used to watch a show. You didn't feel the need to comment about it on the internet. But I think that's kind of quite global, which is what makes her so interesting, that she incites this in people everywhere and not just here.
Right. Well, it would be interesting to have you on again. Roy's is, you know, he's an amazingly talented chef with the Korean barbecue and all that stuff. That was a segment that I just watched, but I kept looking at Roy Choi's hand and I swear I see a wedding ring on hers, but I thought if she and Roy Choi aren't in the Korean barbecue fried chicken restaurant business by Saturday, I'll give you $1 million, because I'm telling you, he was enamored. He was so at the beginning like, oh, I didn't even know I was on your radar. And she's like, are you kidding me? They had this great banter, and I thought they really hit it off. I guess you can fake anything. I mean, she's an actress, but I don't see how you could fake that. Roy Choi definitely seemed like he'd be back tomorrow. Yeah. And if it was going to be called Sussex Chicken,
I think you should patent that. I can involve right now and patent that.
Right now with the I know I'm big on trademarking all kinds of things. So maybe I'm going to trademark Sussex Chicken. Or Sussex, CHIX. That could be. Yeah, anyway, somebody's going to steal my idea from here. But yeah, so do you think it's going anywhere? Do you think in let's say 2 months or for the second season, people are still going to be jumping up and down and hating in the comments? Or do you think it's going to die down significantly?
Brits are funny and the British press is funny, right? And I covered the royals, like I said before, and no, people seem to forget this, but when Kate Middleton married Prince William, there was a period of time where she was a darling and then she was not a darling. And there were some awful things written about her, some awful things said about her.
Yes.
And they came out of the other side of it and now she's the nation's darling again. And I know the situation is different with Meghan and Harry because of everything that has gone on. But I do think, you know, this stuff passes. There will be another public enemy number one at some point. And as rehabilitation of reputation goes, I don't think this is such a bad move, you know. Like we said, she's back in that space where she's really comfortable, where you can engage with her or with what she's doing in a way and be like, this is not offensive. it's food. It's not a lot to get angry about. So I kind of think maybe the hype will die down and we'll just enjoy watching the second season for what it is, really. And that's the thing.
Right. So if Mail Online, or
we say Mail Online or the Daily Mail, or
if the Mail called you and said, "Hey, listen, can you now go review her candles and her whatever?" Would you do it, or would you
give it
say,
a go? It's fun, right? And I think, like you said at the very start, it's nice for people to see someone else try it and just tell them what they think. And maybe it's nice that it was heartening for me that you saw that it came across as just quite balanced and like, this is what I did, this is how it worked, because I don't really need to spend my time bashing her for no reason unless there's a good reason to do it.
That's just so funny that people are like, how dare you? I mean, my God, if it was only positive, it would have had to have that thing from, where they say like sponsored content or something. I mean, nothing can be considered 100% perfect. There's no way.
But I think often, people,
it's not even
also nobody reads past the headline, do they? So half the people that probably commented on what I wrote probably didn't even read what I wrote. So that's the...
Right. Exactly. And didn't see that, you were giving all kinds of things. Now, a lot has been talked about the cost of the ingredients. Do you think that, hers, as we talked about before, is organic this and, grass fed and dandelion fed, everything grown in the garden, etc. But let's say that you didn't stick exactly to that, right? Like, let's say you went and got XYZ fish, or the fish was frozen or something else. Do you think that the recipes could have been made where it wasn't like some budget?
Like, I think there's the pasta one, which was meant to have like freshly shelled English peas in it.
Joseph, that I was like, I don't know if anybody's tried to shell a pea, English or otherwise, but yeah, that is.
I used frozen peas and it tasted fine to me. The jam
that's
thing.
Why I was like, you're a keeper.
Didn't have. So I literally used some frozen berries to decorate my cake. So like,
that's the jam.
Come on, you can use alternatives, and it's it's like any recipe. It's meant to be aspirational, like we said, or inspirational. So you can riff on it. Like I thought your idea was great when you said, "Hey, if you don't want to bother baking the cakes, go buy a cake, cut it up, but maybe just use that idea as a way of going, oh, that's a nice way of presenting it, right? It looks really cool."
Correct. Exactly. Or let's say, and I always say, like, with people because I get interviewed about entertaining things, and they'll say, like, it's the bride's first Thanksgiving. Like, what should she, what is your advice? And I'm always like, don't take on too many things. Like, if it's your first time entertaining, right? You don't have to make the mustard salad dressing and grow the arugula and make the stuffing from scratch. And I mean, you know what I mean? If it's your first time, then, and make a beautiful turkey, right? And then the salad and the dressing and other things can kind of go to the side. You don't have to do every single thing from scratch. And I mean, even if you still wanted to take another layer down and kind of, as we talked about with that cake, well, let's say you decide to make the cake, but you cut it in half instead of in thirds, right? So you just cut down your drama there.
I mean, like
I think
it's carrot top pesto. Yeah. Like, not many people buy carrots that still have the cool tops on them, right? Not many normal people do that. Not here.
Well,
anyway.
And yours truly does a lot of times, because I have all these freaking crazy animals like chickens and everything else. But I'll tell you, I'm like, oh, well, who knew I was giving them the best part? But that at the end of the day could be a cost savings thing,
but
right?
Also, that recipe makes
it could be, hey,
but that recipe also, just like you were saying earlier about inspiration, it made me think, hang on, why haven't I made pesto before? Or not for a long time. So forget the carrot tops. But what that might do is just put in my head that actually pesto is really easy to make. I might not make carrot top pesto, but it's just like a little reminder.
Or I might not have enough carrot tops, but I could take the pesto from the market and I could do a little bit with the carrot tops and just kind of mix it all together. So a little extra salt and olive oil and see how it goes, but I think it's just something, it's good to give people new ideas. I think you go into the show watching it for what it is. Nobody's trying to get an award in chemistry. Nobody's trying to get a patent from it. It's light, it's ideas, there's a lot going on in the world, which is one of the comments. There's so much going on in the world. Well, I think sometimes when there's a lot going on in the world, like I was saying, I had a rough week last week. So to me, watching this stuff was like eye candy.
We all need
it was just like
relief sometimes.
Scroll,
and no one's arguing that this is going to change the world. I don't think she's kind of saying, hey, look, it's really important that you watch this.
Well, it's been really refreshing to talk to, well, first of all, I love the UK, number one. Number two, I also love the British accent. But number three, I love the Daily Mail. And number four, I love like just chatting about these things. And so it's been really fun to chat with somebody brand new to me and about a topic that I think is hot and I don't think is going anywhere. And I really love the conversation. So Ellen, tell everybody how they can find you and what they can find you for.
Yeah, I write a lot about all sorts. I write less news now, more kind of feature writing, but about anything, lifestyle, food, travel. I have a little food blog as well called Eat with Ellen.
What's the URL of the food blog?
Super simple. So yeah, I'm like,
there you go. Eat with Ellen. E-L-L.
Eat with E-L-L-E-N. And yeah, I do all sorts really. So you can find me online, where all the people find me and send me messages. So it'd be nice to get nice ones as well as not nice ones.
So you know what, guys? Whenever this airs, please send Ellen nice messages. Now, Ellen, are you on Instagram or anything where they can find you there?
Like everything. So Eat with Ellen on Instagram, Eat with Ellen on Facebook,
Perfect.
Eat with Ellen on Twitter or X or what we call it these days.
I love it. Well, I can't thank you enough. I want to get off this podcast and
from my end. I'm sorry.
I know. I think that's very cool. But the thing is, I want to, after we finish taping this one, I'm going to bug you to do another one because I really want to chat about other royal stuff and Prince Andrew. And I think it'd be cool. So, all right, you guys. Ellen Manning, thank you so much for this great Dish Fest. And you guys, thank you for listening to another episode of Every Day's a Train Wreck. And let us know in the comments, are you Team Meghan or not? And just if you comment, please just don't say she's horrendous and when you haven't watched the thing. Like, let's have a very deep, meaningful Oxford discussion about this. Not really. Okay, I'm Marley Major, your conductress, signing off for Every Day's a Train Wreck. And if you haven't already, please like the show and comment and subscribe and tell a friend. All right, thanks everybody. Until next time, Dishing with Ellen.